Hi, it's Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter, and I'm live today. Woohoo! It's Tuesday, November 23rd. I'm not going to be doing a Friday show this week as I normally do. It's Thanksgiving in the United States this Thursday, and we're heading up to New York to spend time with family. So I'm going to take a few days off for a change instead of working like I always do. So I'll be back on November 30th at 9:15, and then back to my normal schedule. And I'll figure out the Christmas period. I may still do LinkedIn Lives and live stream during that time, just as a way of answering questions from people. But it's going to be a little bit easier. And my podcast, I'll figure out what to do with the podcast as I get closer to the time. But normally, I take a little bit of a break from producing podcasts around Christmas into early New Year. And for today, if you have a question for me about job search, hiring more effectively, management, leadership, some workplace related issue, put it into chat. Let me know about it. I'll address it during today's show. And I do have a number of questions already from people that emailed me in advance. If you have a question that you'd like me to address, you can always email it to me at thebiggamehunter@gmail.com. In the subject line, put the phrase office hours. Office hours, I tell you. And that lets me know what it's about. I can organize it and then be able to address it with the next live stream. I may message you beforehand, but I want to make sure that I answer your questions on a live stream because, frankly, your issues are other people's issues and it can help someone else. So don't be afraid to ask a question. It will help others, and I'm happy to help you. So again, if you're on LinkedIn, YouTube, or Facebook, and you have a question for me, put it into chat. I'd be happy to answer it. And if you're here, let me know that you're here. Just say hi to me. It's always nice to hear from folks. I love acknowledging people. And I'm going to go to the first question and zero in on that. Okay. First question. This is a fun one. Was the question, why do you work at this company, relevant when answering questions from an interviewer? If I'm understanding the question, it translates into, does it really matter how you answer the question, why do you want to work at this company? And the answer is, of course it's relevant. And it's relevant because they think it's relevant. You may not think so, but they do. Now, why do they think of it as being relevant? Pretty easy, because it's used as a tiebreaker between candidates. See, skills competence is one thing. As I've said so many times before, competence, self-confidence, character, chemistry, maybe a little bit of charisma, caring, all of which adds up to we trust her, we trust him, and we think they can do a good job. Now, when they ask this question, why do you want to work for us? Think of it as a comparison between people. So if they've got three people that they're close on, and they feel that they can get one of them in particular because they're really excited about the possibility of working for their firm, and two are somewhat ordinary or even ambivalent about it, who do you think they're going to make the offer to? The one that they think they can get. And again, that assumes that skills are comparable. And they usually are when they get to this phase. So when they're looking at tiebreakers, one of them is, can I get this person? And if you answer a question like this, as I used to do with one of my clients, when I used to do recruiting, the New York Times would ask the question, why do you want to work for us? And the correct answer that I trained people to answer was, why would I work for the Times? Who wouldn't want to work for the Times? The Times is the number one firm in news, and we go through 4 or 5 things where they speak with a lot of energy and passion. And when it was close, my people always got chosen. So again, think of it as a way that firms can discern between candidates and come to a decision about different people. Next question, because I deal with job search, hiring more effectively, management, leadership, workplace related issues. And this one is a fun one. What are some of your habits that make you instantly stand out at work? Now, I'm going to not take this as being a question about me. I'm going to make the biggest suggestion I can make for you. And it's the habit about caring about doing a job, caring about doing quality work, caring about connecting with my coworkers, and you know, demonstrating that it matters to me to do good work. So that's the biggest habit I try to encourage the people I coach to develop. Because what starts to happen in most workplaces is people get the care beaten out of them and they become average. They do good enough work. It's fine. And you know how the word fine gets played out in so many firms. How you doing? Fine. Fine. No one really cares anymore. They do it good enough. So the biggest habit you can develop is caring again. Because whether it was in school or in other places in your life, you get to the workplace and you start off with a lot of energy, right? And then you start to run into some rough spots and the care disappears. So focus on caring about doing great work, being world class, putting in magnificent effort and getting great results while doing it in a way that inspires confidence from other people. So, again, that's a habit that I think is pivotal for most people to recultivate so that they stand out at work. Again, a reminder, if you have a question for me, put it into chat. I'd be happy to answer it for you. What should I answer if HR asks me, you already have an offer? You're still looking for a change? Why? Now, what they're trying to do is to figure out if they still have a chance to get you and what's wrong with this other situation that they would be competing with. So, what they want to hear is it's a good job. The money is okay. But your job is so much better than this one. I would take this job and I think I'll do very well there. Company's good, people are great, they've been very nice to me. But there's a nagging doubt that I have about it. And I think your organization, I could do even better at. So they want to be romanced. They want to get the idea that they still have a chance of getting you, that you're not purely a mercenary, but it's about, you think you could do even better in their organization than at the firm you have an offer for. That the firm you have an offer for is fine. Notice that word again, fine. But this one, their firm, there's a special nature to it. So don't hesitate to put that out there. And again, interviewing has theater to it. It's a performance art. You have to act your lines and do it in a way that demonstrates interest and excitement, not a flat monologue of, I'm looking for something a little bit better than this one. And maybe your firm could do it for me. I'm not sure, but I'm still interviewing. So if you decide I'm the right person for you, that sounds flat, doesn't it? So do it in a way that gets them excited that they can get you. Here's a fun scenario. My shift leader stole from our manager when we were working together. Is there a way to deal with this, or should I just stay quiet? Okay. My first reaction is you work in an organization that has a degree of size. So this is an assumption from me because I'm hearing about a shift and a manager. So I get the idea this could be a blue collar role. I could be wrong, but I get the idea this could be a blue collar position, and you don't want to come away as being the snitch. you, and at the same time, you recognize that theft is bad. Stole from your manager, and that's the wrong thing. So, how do you deal with this gracefully? Uh, I would frankly put a call into HR or figure out a way of meeting with HR clandestinely and simply say, something happened here that I want to bring to your attention. And I, I actually saw my shift leader steal something from our manager. Now, if you didn't, do not do this because what you're doing is spreading rumors and gossip, and that is inappropriate. But if you actually know because you've seen that this happened, then you address it with HR and tell them you want to keep your name out of it. And if they do anything that betrays that trust, it's going to be damaging to you institutionally. And I don't want to make threats here, but I'll follow up with action because I just want my name out of this. I don't want our manager coming to me and saying anything. And certainly if the shift leader does, I know you'll have betrayed my trust. So I've got a problem here. I want to solve it. I think what happened to our manager is wrong, but I also want my name kept out of it. And again, this works with the assumption that you actually saw the theft take place. Otherwise, it's gossip, hearsay, not relevant. How can I tackle a behavioral assessment question in an interview? Here's the question. Ready? Are you what you think you are? Wow, is that a question designed to fry someone's circuits, right? So I look at this question and I go, are you what you think you are? And my first reaction is to laugh and turn around and ask them, I'm confused by the question. Could you rephrase it in a different way that allows me to tackle it and give you the answer that you really want? Because this is one of those questions that's stupidly languaged, designed to fry your circuits so that you'll reveal something intimate, some intimate details of your life. So, no, I'm not who I think I am. I'm a fraud. Or, and kind of cry your way through it. And not literally cry, but give an answer that's too revealing about yourself. And if you say, yeah, I'm who I think I am, who are you? Who do you think you are? And that again puts you on the spot. So I'd first ask them to rephrase the question in a different way. And if they turn around and say, I think the question is pretty self explanatory, I think there's more to me than what meets the eye. I think what meets the eye is an employee who works hard. But there are dimensions to my personality that often in an organization are not valued and are hidden away until I leave at the end of the day and I'm with friends and family. I hope yours is an organization where I can bring more of myself out and thus be able to serve even more. Notice I'm giving some BS kind of answer because they've given you a BS answer. And when you deliver that line, you have to do it in a way that sounds sincere. Again, remember, interviewing is theater. And if they're going to ask you a stupid question like that one, which I do think is stupid, it doesn't do anything more than fry your circuits, right? Better to give them something that sounds sincere. And the way to sound sincere often is to briefly break eye contact and look down. Slow your speech down a little bit, soften it, and then deliver your lines. And follow what I did earlier. It'll really work for you. So again, it starts off with, could you rephrase the question in a slightly different way? I'm not getting the point of the question. So could you approach it a little bit differently? And if they say the question is self-explanatory, again, follow what I said and deliver the lines like I delivered them to you. What planning workbook or guide would you recommend to walk a graduating U.S. college student through their first career job search within this environment of online applications, video interviews or resumes, social media impressions, and AI screening? Easy. Go to my YouTube channel at jobsearchtv.com and go to individual playlists that will help you with applying for jobs, interviewing, writing a great resume and cover letter, how to market yourself on social media, particularly LinkedIn, and applying for jobs through the applicant tracking system. Again, jobsearchtv.com is my YouTube channel. Go there. There are playlists set up on many, many different categories. Not all of them are going to be relevant for you, but there's a lot of great information that will help you. At my website, you can also order my course called The Ultimate Job Interview Framework, and it will teach you how to interview better than your competition by far. Again, at my website, which is thebiggamehunter.us, go to the site and order the Ultimate Job Interview Framework. It will make a difference in your job search. How can a leader be accountable and responsible for team members? Well, you are responsible for team members and their performance/production. And thus, by being accountable, you're accountable for delivering results that are expected by the institution of you and the work that you do. The group is supposed to do. So how can you do this? Well, it starts off with being aware of what the outcomes are you're supposed to deliver and working with your team to ensure that they deliver their piece of it. If you kind of let them slide, you're not managing them effectively, because it's not just simply about doing tasks. It's about doing tasks as part of yielding a particular result. So you are accountable. You are responsible. As a manager or an institutional leader, you're responsible and accountable for the performance of the people that report to you. If you let them off the hook, you're responsible. It's really that simple. So how do you do it? You meet with them individually. You cheerlead them. You talk to them privately when they're falling behind. You talk with them about the impact of the deficit of their performance, and that they need to step up their game, because it will have an adverse impact upon how they are seen come review time. You want to help them win. What do you need from me that's going to help you do this? And thus open up a dialogue of conversation. So I've covered a couple of different things in there. And again, don't let them slide. Don't let them off the hook. What are some ways to negotiate a higher salary? Now, I don't know if this is for someone within an organization who's trying to get a raise, or for a job hunter. I'm going to deal with this as a job hunter. So I've got a video called The Easiest Way to Negotiate a Higher Salary for Yourself. It's about 9.5, just under 10 minutes long. And it talks about a simple technique for negotiating a higher salary for yourself. And it starts off with the premise of when you get the offer, you become silent for a moment. And you go, huh. At which point they know there's a problem. And you say, can I get back to you tomorrow or the day after at the latest? And they know there's a problem at that point. You want to make them feel nervous that they might lose you, so that when you circle back to them a day or 2 days later, you can first ask questions about anything other than salary. What bonus is like? what the cost of benefits is going to be. What are the benefits? Things along those lines, anything other than salary. And then you get to the salary number and you say, you know, it should be obvious to you that I'm a little disappointed in what the salary is. Could you do a touch better? Well, if we do a touch better, will you say yes? Well, yeah, I'd like to join, but I also want to be treated fairly. And I think your offer is a little low. I've received, offers from other firms. I've spoken with other organizations and I'm in process with them for positions that would pay more than this. Money is a factor, it is not the factor. Um, could you do a touch better? And that's one way to put pressure on them. Again, if you go to jobsearchtv.com, I've got videos there on salary negotiation that will help you as well. You can also get to my website, thebiggamehunter.us. I have categories set up there that will help you too. What does it mean to have a strong work ethic? Now, I'm going to give a US-centric answer here because that's really what I know is a US answer to this kind of scenario. So what does a strong work ethic mean? Number one is you get great results. You put in effort. People value what you do and you care. Care is always the missing ingredient with a lot of people. Like they do tasks, but they don't project caring about what they do. They don't project, it matters to me that we do great work, that I do great work. So that's really what work ethic comes down to, is your effort in doing your job and getting great results. Two more questions. I'm just going to remind you, I've gotten a couple of highs from people, but if you have a question for me, put it into chat and I'd be happy to address it with you today. Can you tell me about something unexpected that happened during a job interview? Did you get the job? I'll speak about this from a recruiter's perspective because I did that for more than 40 years, filled many, many positions, helped even more land work with my advice. And now as a coach, I help people find work too. I'll start off by saying this is a distraction question. I'm not going to answer it. And if you had the answer to this question, what difference would it make? It's like living a prurient life through someone else's misfortune, that they had something unexpected happen during a job interview. And did they get the job? Yes or no? What difference does it make? It is of no matter, no consequence whatsoever. Move on. It's a distraction for you that isn't going to help you get a job anyway. Last question, unless something winds up in chat. Why won't anyone hire me and what can I do to change it? Again, going back to my answer of where I commented about what people look for when they hire. Competence. Maybe you're deficient from a competency standpoint, and as such, you need to improve on your skills. Self-confidence. If you don't project confidence, firms are always reluctant to hire. Character. Some firms want to hire people who are characters, particularly in sales, which is very much a personality job. Some firms want to hire people with character. Some people want to hire both. Chemistry. Are you connecting with the people that you're being interviewed by so that they feel you? Charisma. Charismatic people always do better than non-charismatics. So how do you connect with people? Care. Do you project like you care about doing a good job, or are you robotically answering their questions? This is what firms look for when they're trying to figure out whether or not they can trust you enough to hire you. All of these are within your lap. And if you're asking this question, you've been on a number of interviews, you can see patterns to the questions that are being asked. And thus you can practice in advance for how to answer these questions better. Practice will help you improve. And practice isn't just simply in answering the questions, but in the theater of performance of the answering of the question. When you go to a movie, if you've been to a play, those actors and actresses convince you that they are the character that they're representing, right? So you have to put on a performance for the audience so they get you. So again, practice will help you improve. If you schedule time for interview prep with me, it's a paid coaching session I can do. I'd be very happy to help you. Again, go to thebiggamehunter.us and schedule time for a coaching session. I've got a question from someone. Tom asks, I am in IT, but the longer I'm out of work, the more I forget and quickly. I blew an interview where I used to answer questions very easily, but now I'm struggling. Once I'm in a position, I can quickly get up to speed, but no one's proposing marriage to you, right? And by the way, I have another question after this one. So the idea is practice. And I would suggest that if you're on LinkedIn, you pay for the first level of service that's paid so you have access to LinkedIn Learning. Take the time to review some of the skills that you need to be an effective IT professional. And again, you've been out of work for a while, and what you're acknowledging is you're rusty. So things aren't coming to you as easily as they once did. Practice will help you improve. And taking classes, putting in the diligence and effort to be able to perform well when asked questions related to this subject will help you a lot. Also, if this is about rustiness in interviewing, not a skill substance thing, I'll mention my course, which is very inexpensive. Like I listed it like $25, and usually Udemy discounts it. If you go to thebiggamehunter.us/interviews, it's called the Ultimate Job Interview Framework. It's also available as a paperback or as a Kindle book on Amazon. But the video course is particularly good. It will teach you how to interview well. But I don't get the idea that's your issue. I get the idea is you've gotten rusty from a skills perspective. Take courses. There are plenty of them free. By now, you know some of the deficiencies. And I'll simply say, you can get better. Practice will help you improve. Jeff, how do you sell? I have education. I have some work experience. How do I negotiate in terms of sale for the highest value? So the idea is, if I'm understanding the question correctly, and I'm not sure that I am, if I start going down the wrong rabbit hole, please correct me, okay? You have some training, you have some experience. How do you negotiate in terms of sale for the highest value? And the answer is to understand what your value is. Some people overvalue what the market will pay for them. And thus, if you overvalue yourself, you wind up in a situation where you price yourself out of the market. Now, often it's a less experienced person who's asking this question. That's fine. But the goal is to make them fall in love. No love, they're not going to make you an offer. There's not going to be the result that you want. Fixate on how you can help them solve their problem. Now, my video course and books are going to teach you a great way of preparing for that because I start with the premise that most job descriptions are 80% accurate. So often people are aiming at the wrong target. They think they're aiming at the right one, but they aren't. So I want you to hear about the job at the beginning of the interview so you can talk about what you've done that matters to them and not just simply talk about what you've done. And then from there, when you're answering, tell me about yourself, you're connecting the dots for them pretty quickly so that they can see how your background can help them. Now, if you're not qualified, none of this matters. But assuming that you are qualified, that you have some training and you have some experience, and you present as though you really care, firms will be the path to your door. Once you get the interview, they will want to hire you. You'll be competing with other people. So the idea is how you connect with the interviewers who are involved with the process. But fundamentally, it's about the performance you put on when you're asked on a date. Interviewing is very much like a blind date. Each of you has something that they believe that the other one wants. Then from there, it's convincing one another that it's true. And then, of course, there's the feeling that everyone gets during the dating process as to whether this goes any further. Maybe that's a bad metaphor. I've always found it works. So I'll simply say, think of this as dating. And it's not just, oh, I can reciting facts for them. They want it. There's a lot of qualified people. And if you're junior, I'll simply say that you're competing with other junior people who may be equally qualified. Why should they choose you? Ultimately, it's the feeling that they give you, that you give them, that causes them to trust you and get the results that they need that you can deliver. So I know that's a little long-winded, but fundamentally, that's what they're looking for. And you're welcome. Uh, Folks, I'll be back next Tuesday. Normally, I do Tuesday at 9:15, Friday at 9 a.m. I'm Jeff Altman, the Big Game Hunter. If you're in the U.S., have a happy Thanksgiving. Enjoy the holiday. I hope you found today's show helpful. If you're watching on YouTube, give it a thumbs up. If you're on LinkedIn or anywhere, share it. It does help other people discover me and discover the value that I bring. My channel on YouTube is jobsearchtv.com. And you can also subscribe to my podcast, No BS Job Search Advice Radio. I come out 5 days a week, except now I'm going to be on vacation for Thanksgiving. But it's Monday through Friday, under normal circumstances. Content comes out that will help you be more effective with your job search. It's the #1 podcast in Apple Podcasts for job search. I just celebrated the 11th anniversary of the show. There's more than 2,200 episodes of it. So again, No BS Job Search Advice Radio and jobsearchtv.com. Job Search TV is also available on Amazon. That's an app you can download for Fire TV, Fire Stick. And the content is also available through another app on bingenetworks.tv. And you can watch me there. I think I have an app on Roku as well, although some of my content is a little out of date there. But again, there's a lot of material that I've generated. Lastly, connect with me on LinkedIn at linkedin.com/IN/the Big Game Hunter. Mention that you've watched some of my stuff or listened to me. I like knowing I'm helping some folks. And hope you have a terrific day. Lastly, be great. Take care.